Good morning. How are you guys? Just good. Supposed to be great. Oh. So I always say that. People say good, I say great. So I don't know. It was a couple of weeks ago I sent Darren Sproles a text message, and I was just checking in on him. I hadn't heard from him in a while or whatever. And so he writes back, "Yeah, how are you doing?" And I wrote back, "Good." And he said, he hammered me, "Good, you're just doing good. Something's wrong. You're not the same you, da da da." So anyway, if I ever ask you how you're doing, you're supposed to say great.
Kickoff, maybe he's done this before many times, but Josh Woods, kicker starts approaching, he's pointing to whatever side he's kicking. I don't know, is that...
Yeah, so what happened there, it's actually a good pickup by you. I would say, so what happened there is they kind of had a side of the formation that they generally kick towards, and the kicker kind of has a placement of the ball and alignment. So pre-kick or pre-snap, we kind of have an indication of where they are going to go with the ball. And then on that particular play, as the kicker approached the ball, he started to work over the top of the ball so he could actually kick it back to the backside of the formation. So it's kind of like a little bit of an unscripted look. It's something they had done once before, but anyway, so that's what he was doing there. So then Woods was saying, "Hey, check is coming back the other way," and calling it out, which he did a great job of. I would say in general, those players did a great job on that play. It ended up being a positive play for us, and those guys did a great job adjusting to the play that was out there. Sometimes guys make what I call a football play, and I would say all 11 of those guys just did a great job of making a football play on that and turning a situation that could be tough or tricky or whatever into a positive.
It looked like he was kicking the other way based on their alignment.
Yeah, so based on the alignment, the kicker's alignment, the alignment of the kicking group, that group flipped some players and they kept some players to the primary, what we'd call primary kick side. And so they had shown like they were going to go to our left, their right, and then as he approached the ball, he got back over the top of the ball to go back to his left, our right.
Minute detail for Josh to pick something like that up, and maybe just in general, and what has he meant for your special teams, and what is doing something as small as that, because I think he did have a big return.
Yeah, so I would say, all that little stuff is big, and it's all behind the scenes, plays that not a lot of people see or notice. But he's been playing really good football for us. In that game, he had a really good game. He had a tackle on a kickoff. He had a block on a punt return, a good block on a kickoff return. He called that play out. But I would say even more than that is he's really kind of an emotional leader for us. So just in the huddle, like there was a moment in that game where I was about to jump in the huddle and start talking, to the players or whatever, but I heard him talking to the guys, and he was saying all the things I was about to say, and that's really how you want it as a coach, or that's how I would prefer it, is you really want that leadership to come from within and those guys to feel like it's really theirs. And so anyways, he was saying the right things, and I just said, "Hey, man, just keep it going," So anyway, he does a great job of rallying the group and bringing energy to the group, really through 4 quarters of football there.
How have you seen Justin evolve as a kick returner? We're starting to see more and more kind of explosive plays from him the past few weeks.
Yeah, so I would say Justin's done a great job. That play, he did a great job on that play. He was lined up over on the left hash as we would see it, and when they kicked it over the right, Woods started pointing. He went over the other side and showed really good range. But he's done a great job, number one, securing the ball, catching the ball, securing the ball, getting downhill. He gets physical yards or tough yards, and then he's also made some guys miss. So he's really helped that group quite a bit. But I would also say I think it might have been, training camp when you guys asked me about who's going to be the returner, and I said, well, a big part of the return is the guys blocking for the returner. And I would say all 10 of those guys on that team, on that unit, have done a great job all year long. We haven't had a lot of free runners, a lot of penetrators, and we've given the returner a chance to get positive yards too. So I would say it goes hand in hand, but certainly the returner is a big part of it.
Houston, we've obviously been talking a lot about what his impact has been on defense with the 3 sacks. Kind of used that same burst and bend and almost got a punt block as well. Seems like you've been moving around a little bit. What do you like about what he's giving you on special teams right now?
Yeah, I guess I would say, he's a good football player. We've known that. We watched when he was coming out in the draft. Obviously, the Jackson State or whatever. Is that where he went? Jackson State. But before that, he was at Florida. And really, when you watch his Florida film, like he was covering kicks and he just showed a really good awareness for the football. And then obviously at Jackson State, I know he's playing edge rusher on defense and all that. But I would say, number one, the guy's just a very aware football player. He's got a nose for the ball. He knows how to find it. He knows how to avoid or bend and adjust around a block, which way to go around the block, over the top or back behind it. Just a lot of things that I would say like common sense or like football IQ. And I would say he has a lot of that. He does have a unique ability to rush the edge. So on that one punt rush, he was, coming off the corner on their tight end, who was playing their wing. Did a nice job on that. But yeah, we moved him around. We're kind of working on finding, what does he do best? How can we use him best? How much is he playing on defense? All that stuff. But he's done a nice job. We got to keep it going.
Good to see Badgley get the NFC Player of the Week.
Yeah, I was fired up for that. Obviously, that was huge. He had 8 big kicks and 4 field goals, 4 PATs. He's done a great job for us. We talked about 6, 7, 8, 9 weeks ago, whatever it was, about trying to settle that spot down, and I think he's done that for us. Guy's just really calm, cool, collected. He's very confident in himself, knows who he is, and he's been a really steady presence for us there. And then I think he's helped those other guys, the other specialists too, because just his approach and the way he approaches the game, he doesn't get too high, too low. So it's been good for all those guys to see.
There was talk of using Jameson Williams as a gunner on special teams. Some former NFL players came out and expressed maybe a little bit of concern. Do you think that's overblown in regards to using a skilled player on special teams, maybe coming after an injury?
Yeah, I would have no idea if it's overblown or underblown. I would just say at the end of the day, we're trying to win a football game and play whoever we think can impact that. Now, I do get that, there's some, maybe we're not going to use him because whatever, a number of different reasons. But I would say at the end of the day, for him, he wasn't playing. He came out. He wanted to play. He wanted to play. We talked about using him there. We talked about bringing him up for the game and playing him on offense. He obviously wanted to do that. Coach had asked me if can we use him as a gunner? Is he going to help us? And I said, oh, he'll help us. And then then he said, can he be ready? And I said, oh, we'll get him ready. But anyway, I think it just comes down to the individual. And I would say he's different, man. This guy loves playing football. And if that's his way to contribute in a game, he's willing to do it. He was willing to do it going into that game in terms of like, hey, man. And I would say once we got the go-ahead, like I went to him also and just said, hey, are you sure you want to do this? And he said, oh, yeah, I want to play. And I said, all good. If he had told me no, then I wasn't going to play him there. So I think every individual case is different. This guy wanted to play. He wants to play that play. That's good. So anyway, we were going to use him. We'll see what we do this week. But
there is like higher injury rate in the kicking game sometimes. Like that's what the NFL is trying to take out. I don't know. Does that apply to like gunner too, or does that apply to ACL versus concussion? You know what I mean? Like that's some of the. I guess that's where some of the.
Yeah. Yeah, and I would say, so it's just you're opening up a huge topic. But, they say that the rate of injury is higher. It used to be the kickoff. Now they say that's down, actually, and people have done a great job of it. I would say this. I've been coaching for 25 years, and no one ever wants to see anybody get hurt. And injury, unfortunately, is a part of the game. But I would also say I've seen guys get hurt in a walkthrough. I've seen guys get hurt in a jog through. I've seen guys get hurt on special teams. I've seen them get hurt on offense. I've seen them get hurt on defense. I've seen them blow a knee out in a walkthrough. I've seen, so I've seen everything. And I do think that as coaches, we're trying to make sure that we keep those guys in, safe situations. We try to make sure the practice environment is as safe as it can be. But at the end of the day, injury is a part of the game, unfortunately. And then I would also just say that, so we're trying to help as much as we can, but you can't paralyze yourself with the fear of a guy getting injured, because I think if you do, then at some point you're going to stop practicing, you're going to stop doing that drill, and then the first time someone gets hurt in the next drill, you're going to stop doing that drill, and it's like you just can't do that and be a good football team. So I think, you got to make calculated decisions. A lot of that stuff's above me. I don't really make a lot of those, but I am responsible for making sure the drills we do in practice and whatnot are as safe as we can make them, and we make sure we keep those guys in as safe a situation we can. But unfortunately, injury is part of it. But yeah.
One more on that. You were gushing about him back in the spring, I think, just some of the special teams tape that he had. So why can he be an effective gunner? Is it just the speed? Is it that tenacity that you talked about?
Yeah, good question. Why would he be an effective gunner? I would say the number one requirement for me, if you want to be a great gunner, I would say is just sheer speed. You could give us a track guy on the outside, and if the guy can run on that play, as long as the punter, which we have a great punter, can punt the ball down the field, but as long as the punter can punt the ball down the field, if you just got a guy, he doesn't have to stay on a track, stay on a line, break his route off at 10 yards or 15 and 5 steps and make sure he's whatever at the top of the numbers at 20 yards. It doesn't matter. Just run around the guy. If they put 2 on you, run around those 2. And if you can just outrun everybody on the field, you can get down there. And then the next question would be, well, can he tackle? Well, if you run fast enough, you just make the guy fair catch and you don't have to tackle. So I would say if you can just really run, that's a great start. And then if you're physical and competitive and love tackling, those would be the next things. But just sheer speed is hard to replace.
Question about similar to what Dave asked at the beginning, something I guess I hadn't seen a whole lot. On punt return, you had a second guy back, almost like as a, up back is the right term, but I'm just curious what the advantages of that is as opposed to maybe putting a vise on a gunner.
Yeah, it's a good question too. There's a lot to that, but I mean, there's a lot of different reasons. One reason, just to throw out one real quick, would be like, let's say you double this gunner, well then maybe they punt the ball that way. So then all of a sudden that's ineffective. So that's something that maybe if the team you're playing against is doing that, that could be a reason. Let's say they have a guy who can just flat run and he's just faster than everybody. You can put 2 guys up on the line of scrimmage, but if you can just run around him in the first 10 yards and he runs faster than him, then that play's over also and that guy's out of it. But if you put him back there deep, you can at least guarantee he's back there by the return. He could pick up that guy who might run better than him. So there's a lot of different reasons you would use it, but those would be a handful.